Hi guys, welcome or welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today's video is going to be a full face of Charlotte Tilbury makeup. These videos seem to do really well on my channel. You guys seem to really enjoy them, and I haven't done one for quite a few months now. But yeah, everything I'm going to be using is going to be from Charlotte Tilbury. So if you're interested in Charlotte Tilbury makeup, seeing if it's worth the money, discovering possibly some new products that you've not seen before, then just keep watching. So I have already done all of my skincare off camera, so I used all of like my serums, toners, all of that kind of good stuff. But that was a little bit earlier this morning, so I am just going to go in with a little bit more moisturiser, and of course I'm going to be using the Charlotte Tilbury Magic Cream. I've talked about this product quite a lot on my channel before, not so much recently. I used to sort of rave about this product quite a while ago, and yeah, recently I've kind of discovered like other moisturisers that I really enjoy as well. So this one has kind of taken a back seat a little bit, but I do still really love this moisturiser. I think it's such a good moisturiser for if you've got slightly more drier skin, sort of like normal to dry. As you can see, it gives you just such a beautiful kind of glow to your skin where it's just super hydrating. It is expensive, and I often still get the question like, do I think the Charlotte Tilbury Magic Cream is worth the price tag? If I've got to be honest, recently I've tried so many other creams with a sort of cheaper price point that I do really love, and that just kind of pushes me towards the answer of no, it's not worth the price tag, because you can definitely get some creams that are amazing for cheaper. But I would still recommend definitely like investing in this and trying this out, because it is kind of a very unique cream and product, and I feel like you just need to try it at least once in your life, you know, even if you just got like the small size or even like a sample. Yeah, I would definitely recommend trying it because it is lovely. Next, to kind of prime my skin, I'm going to be going in with the Flawless filter. I have mine in the shade 2. This is more of a highlighting product. You can use this kind of before your makeup, you can mix it in with your foundation, you can put this on top of your foundation as kind of like a highlighter. It's kind of like a multi-functioning product, but I personally like to use it the most just kind of underneath my foundation as kind of like a prep to the skin. It's not really gonna prime your skin in the sense of like filling in any pores or necessarily making your makeup last any longer. It's not really that type of product. If you're looking for something like that, then I would probably recommend the Wonder Glow or the Youth Glow from Charlotte Tilbury. This is more of a sort of glowy base. You could actually just use this like on its own all over the skin as a very lightweight sort of coverage. But yeah, this isn't gonna actually sort of like help the longevity of my makeup, if that makes sense. It's just going to give me a beautiful kind of lit from within glow. I actually used this in my last makeup video as well. I've just been obsessed with using it recently. I kind of forgot about it and now I've rediscovered it again, and I'm so glad that I have. Just look at that shine. Like, there is no product quite like it, in my opinion. So the next product that I'm actually going to go in with is the Charlotte Tilbury. This is the colour corrector. Is that what it's called? I forget the actual name of this, but basically it's a colour corrector for under your eyes. I have mine in the shade 1, and as you can see, it's a very kind of light peachy shade. So this is really going to help just to cancel out any darkness under my eyes. Obviously, I've spoke about this before, but I do have quite dark under eyes, which... Is dark under eyes becoming like a trend now or what? Because I saw someone on Instagram the other day doing her makeup, so she had bags. So maybe my eye bags are in trend, but either or, I don't like them. Personally, I have tried every concealer under the sun to try and cover them, because I really feel like they kind of just age my face in a way and just make me look a lot more tired than I actually am. And I do get a lot of sleep, guys. Like, it's not sleep deprivation, is that the right word? I do get about 10 hours at least a night. I am a sleepy girl, I need my sleep, so it's not that, it's just genetics, I think. But this kind of product really just helps. As you can see, I've just tapped a tiny little bit in, and already you can see just a huge difference. Like, under my eyes just looks so much more brighter and awake. For like sort of like more natural days, you probably could just use this on its own and not put a concealer on the top. If you're doing more glam, then just use this kind of as a base and then put your concealer on the top. So for foundation, I'm going to go in with my Charlotte Tilbury Light Wonder foundation. I have this in the shade 4 Fair. This is actually currently the only Charlotte Tilbury foundation that I own, because I actually gave away my Magic foundation and my Flawless... was the other one called? Airbrush Flawless Foundation, I think it's called. I gave that away to my mum purely because those foundations, just for me personally, didn't really work well on my skin. It's so weird because, as most of you already know, I did used to work for Charlotte Tilbury. I was working as a lead artist on a Charlotte Tilbury counter in London, which means I've had a lot of experience trying the foundations on customers and obviously like different people. And the Magic Foundation and the Airbrush Flawless Foundation always used to look, well not always, but for the majority of time it would look amazing on customers, but just on me, I don't know what it was, for me it just didn't really work. So this is the only foundation that I currently own from Charlotte Tilbury, and to be honest I haven't used this one in the longest time. Again, I guess I've just forgot about it, but to be honest, this foundation is lovely. It gives you such a beautiful kind of lightweight, sort of light to medium coverage. However, I personally find that it doesn't last that well on the skin. It's not a very long lasting foundation at all, in my opinion. It does kind of come off after literally only a few hours of wearing it, or I notice that it's like wearing down, which when you're paying a lot of money for a foundation is not really what you want, or not what I want anyway. However, I guess if you powder it correctly and you maybe set it with a good setting spray, you might be able to get this to work for you. And if you are sort of looking for a more lightweight, very sort of glowy, your skin but better looking foundation, then this one is really nice. I do want to keep the skin a little bit lighter today. I've been really enjoying my skin looking a bit more kind of fresh and natural and glowy as opposed to full coverage and matte. It's just what I've been preferring at the moment. So this is what the foundation looks like up close. As you can see, it's extremely glowy and kind of almost wet looking. This is, to be fair, mostly because I used quite a lot of magic cream underneath and quite a lot of the Flawless filter. So it does dry down a little bit more than this. You'll see in a minute. But yeah, this is kind of the overall coverage and finish of the foundation. It is really beautiful. I just wish it lasted longer on the skin. Okay, so now that foundation is on, the kind of usual routine and the usual way that Charlotte Tilbury or Charlotte Tilbury employees, or whatever you want to call it, would do makeup is to kind of finish the skin and then go on to eyes. But what I'm actually going to do is do my eyes now and then come back to my skin, because I'm going to be doing a little bit more of a darker eyeshadow look. I'm going to be using a slightly more red toned, and if it falls down onto my face, I don't want to ruin my whole face makeup, and I can just touch up with a little bit more foundation if I need to. So that's what I'm going to do now. So I'm going to go in with the Walk of No Shame palette. This is a slightly more newer one in my collection, so I haven't really used this one a ton in the past. It is kind of, I think I've only used it like maybe once or twice, so it is a more unused palette for me, so I'm quite excited to use it again today. I've kind of got a little bit of an idea in my head of how I want to do this eyeshadow, but I don't know if I'm going to actually be able to execute it like how I want it to look in my head, so we will see together if I can do it or not. But anyways, I'm going to start off with the darkest shade in the palette, which is this shade down here, which is a kind of cranberry red. This isn't completely matte, but it's also not shimmery. It's kind of like one of those in between shades, and I'm going to take it on this really, really small brush. This hasn't got a name. It's just by Coastal Scents. I think I got this like literally years ago in a huge set. What I'm going to do first of all, let me zoom you in a bit more actually so you can see. What I'm going to do first of all is create kind of like a line, almost as kind of like a rough wing shape, and then what I want to do with this is kind of like bring it in a little bit, and I am going to be blending this out, so don't worry too much if it looks a little bit crazy. And I'm not really being precise with this because, as I said, I am going to blend it out, so it doesn't have to be like perfect at this stage. Like I said, I don't know if I'm going to be able to actually execute this the way I can sort of picture it in my head. I really hope I can. Okay, so now we've got that initial shape, I'm just going to copy that on this eye before I blend it so that I can really see what shape I've done. Okay, so now we kind of have our base down. I'm going to continue using that same brush, but I'm actually going to go in with the shade just above that one, so it's kind of slightly paler. It's still got a little bit of shimmer in it, but this is just going to help me kind of blend out those lines. And I know what you're thinking, this doesn't exactly look like a Charlotte Tilbury makeup look, but don't worry, I know I am going to fix it. It's going to look, well, I hope it's going to look like a Charlotte Tilbury look when I'm done. That brush is taking me a bit too long, so I'm going to be taking this kind of fluffy angled brush, and I'm actually going to first of all go in with no product on this brush and just try and blend out the edges. Okay, so this is what we're working with so far. I did end up adding a little bit of that sort of slightly lighter red shade to this brush to help me blend, because it wasn't really doing much without any product on there, and I feel like it is slightly coming together a little bit more to my vision. I think I've gone a little bit more dramatic than what I originally planned to, but that is fine. I always feel like it looks very dramatic, and then once you kind of get your lashes on and all of that, it kind of looks a little bit better. So I'm just going to finish up this blending. I'm going to do the other side and we will see where we are. Right guys, so we are getting there with the vision. I feel like this is kind of what I pictured. As I say, it's a little bit more dramatic than what I wanted, but we move. This is giving me like fire vibes. I don't know, like flames, you know? So yeah, I've basically just been blending. I figured I would just do it off camera because that's just super boring and I don't want this video to be about 200 years long, you know? One other thing that I did do is go back in with a small brush and just kind of like re-add some more of that darkest sort of red shade, just so that that is like the strongest point of the colour, just right in that sort of like crease area and along this little line a bit here. I think now what I'm going to do is just go in and kind of clean it up a little bit with concealer, just sort of in these parts here mostly and along this edge, just so we've got a nice base for one of the lighter shimmer shades I'm going to put on in a second. So I just found this flat brush, and this has got, when I tell you this has got barely any product on it, it's literally got the tiniest bit of concealer, because I don't want this to be super clean like a cut crease. I just kind of want this to be like a sort of cleaning up, you know, thing, as opposed to making it super sharp. Charlotte Tilbury isn't really about that kind of vibe, so I'm just going to kind of go in with this and sort of use it as like a little eraser tool, just to sort of take away any like patches that have gone onto areas that I don't want the product. Hope that makes any sort of sense. So yeah, I don't know if you can really tell, but this eye where I've just done the concealer looks a little bit more clean than this eye here. Once I get the kind of shimmer shade on the lid that I'm going to put on in a second on anyway, you probably won't be able to tell, but okay, so now we have that kind of clean lid area. I'm going to take my palette again, and what shade am I going to use? I'm going to start off actually with this shade here, which is kind of more of a highlight shade. So I've just taken a flat brush to apply that with, because realistically I'm not going to be able to apply this very precise with my finger. I'm just going to be taking a little bit of the Charlotte Tilbury. This is the Airbrush Flawless Finish Setting Spray, but water would do or any setting spray, and I'm just literally going to spritz the brush just once and take off the excess water on the back of my hand. I don't want this brush to be super wet. I just want it to be able to pick up the product a little bit better than a dry brush. So I'm going to go into this shade here with my brush, and I'm just going to start applying that on the lid. So basically all the area that has not got the red, I'm going to be applying this colour, and it's obviously quite pale, but it's just going to give the lid a little bit more of a sheen, and just so it's not completely empty. Right, so this is kind of what we're working with on the eyes at the moment. Just to kind of finish it off and give it that pop, I am going to go in with the pop shade, which means we have used every single shade in this palette. This is a really beautiful kind of pinky toned pop, and if you aren't familiar with the Charlotte Tilbury eyeshadows, the pop shades are basically just a super finely milled eyeshadow, which you get this sort of most beautiful kind of shimmer slash glitter, but it's so finely milled and fine that it's just beautiful and it catches the light like no other. So I am just going to go in with my finger and sort of put that almost like on the front part of the lid, I guess, just kind of anywhere I can get it without messing it up. So I'm not even sure if you can really see that on camera, if it's picking it up, but in person it just gives it kind of a little bit more kind of sparkle and dimension, and just brings the look together a little bit more rather than it looking quite flat. These shadows are designed to be applied with your finger as well, so they don't really pick up that well with a brush, but feel free to try. I just always prefer applying these shades with my finger. Right, so that is the eyes kind of so far. I am obviously going to come back to them once I've finished up my skin. I didn't even really need to do that because it hasn't even fallen down on my face, but I am going to sort of finish them up once I've done my skin. So yeah, I'm going to move back onto my skin now, so let me zoom you back out again a little bit. My hair looks like an absolute mess, doesn't it? Sorry about that. I went for that like messy bun look, but realistically it just looks like I've rolled out of bed. So for concealer, I'm going to go in with the Retoucher concealer. I have this in the shade 1. Charlotte does also have another concealer which is a slightly newer version, which is the Magic concealer, but to be honest I prefer this one, which is the Retoucher. It's just a little bit lighter and in my opinion it just blends out a little bit better, so I'm just going to kind of put that under my eyes and a little bit here to clean up. When I worked at Tilbury, this product always used to apply a little bit better with your fingers because it kind of needs the warmth a little bit. I feel like this product, we used to kind of work it into the back of our hands first and then apply it, which actually probably works better than applying it straight to the skin. So, but yeah, anyways, I'm just going to tap this in using my finger. Next, what I'm going to do is take my Hollywood contour wand. I have this in a shade medium to dark, just purely because it's a little bit of a nicer colour, I feel like, to the light medium shade. So I'm just going to take this only a tiny bit, and I'm going to do section by section because this product does dry quite quickly. I've found in the past when I've kind of put this over my whole face and then gone to blend it, it's already kind of dried a little bit. So I recommend if you're going to use this product to kind of use it in section by section. I'm just going to kind of blend that out. Obviously it does look rather dark, but once it's blended it's pretty much fine. And you only need a little bit of this if you're using this shade and you are anything similar to my complexion. You obviously only need a tiny bit. So I'm also just going to take a little bit around my hairline as well. What I am going to do, because I did apply quite a lot on my forehead, I am just going to go in with my foundation brush and just kind of blend round that so it's not any kind of harsh lines there and it's not too dark. Because this is cream, you can obviously do this really easily and it's not going to leave any kind of horrible marks like if it was powder. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in with a little bit of powder and powder the areas of my face which I would usually powder, which is under my eyes and kind of a little bit on my forehead. I'm going to be using the Charlotte Tilbury Magic powder for this. This is the loose powder from Charlotte Tilbury. I very rarely use pressed powder. These days I always pretty much use loose powder. I just find that it sits a little bit better on my skin, sets my makeup a bit better and looks less cakey. So I do have the pressed powder that everyone raves about from Charlotte Tilbury, but to be honest, I barely ever use it because I just prefer this one. I have mine in the shade 1, in case anyone was wondering. So to be honest, I've kind of just like lightly powdered like near enough my whole face because I was looking rather glowy and I did want my skin to look a tiny bit more matte in certain areas. So I have gone kind of around here a little bit, around my forehead, and just around my nose as well. Right, so before I go in with my blusher and my highlighter and all of that good stuff, I'm actually going to quickly do my brows. I'm going to go in with my Charlotte Tilbury Brow Lift in the shade Supermodel. If you guys have been around here for a long time, you will know that this used to be, and probably still is, one of my favourite eyebrow pencils. I used to swear by this. Recently I have been using a little bit more my NYX one and also the Beauty Crop one that I really like, so that's why this one has taken a bit of a back seat. But the colour of this is pretty much perfect for my brows. It's that perfect kind of grey toned brown, and yeah, it just works really well for me. So I'm just going to kind of go in little strokes, mostly upwards, just to kind of fill in my brows. And then I just like to make sure that I'm brushing through kind of like halfway through and at the end to make sure I can really fill in any little gaps that are left. So my brows are now on. I am just going to warm up my face slightly a little bit more with my Bronze and Glow, which is a product that I have loved for so long. And again, I kind of have recently forgot about, but I'm going to bring it back out today because I absolutely love this product. I'm basically just going to take this over where I already put that cream contour just to kind of set it down a little bit and also intensify it. And I'm just going in with a really light hand. This is a Charlotte Tilbury brush as well, just to apply that just so that I don't kind of move what I've already done underneath. And then from that same Bronze and Glow palette, I'm just adding a little bit of highlighter. By a little bit, I mean a lot. I'm also just going to put a little bit of this in my inner corners as well, just to kind of brighten the eyes a little bit. So now I'm going to really quickly jump back to my eyes and just finish them off. I really don't have that much more to do, but I'm basically just going to be taking the darkest shade in the palette, which is this red shade, on this really small little brush, and I'm going to be dragging that underneath my lash line to just tie the eye look together. So, And I really don't want to take this too low. This brush is probably a little bit big, but I'm just going to kind of look like that, like down into my mirror, and just kind of drag the eyeshadow. I'm just kind of going to do it to like almost at halfway. I don't want to bring it too far in to my inner corner. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that brush that we used to blend with a little bit more of that kind of more paler shade on there, and I'm just going to kind of blend out the under the lash line and sort of like mesh it all together with the top. When I applied the concealer, it kind of sharpened up this edge quite a lot as well, and I didn't really want it to look too sharp. I want it to look nice and blended, so that's why I'm just going to re-blend it out here. Right, so now for mascara, I'm going to be going in with my Pillow Talk Push Up Lashes mascara. I actually had to chuck out all of my other Charlotte Tilbury mascaras, so this is the only one that I currently own from Charlotte Tilbury, but I do actually really like this mascara. With this mascara though, you do have to be quite careful, because when I've applied it in the past a little bit more carelessly, it can quite easily go on your eyelid, which isn't ideal if you've just spent as long as I have doing your eyeshadow. So just be a little bit mindful of that when you're using this mascara. Just be a little bit careful, because the brush is one of those brushes where it can just very easily get on your eyelid. I am going to be going in with a little corner lash as well, just because I feel like this look would really benefit from it. Obviously that's not going to be Charlotte Tilbury. As far as I'm aware, Charlotte Tilbury doesn't have lashes. They did come out with them once, but I'm pretty sure they were limited edition. So right, so I just popped on a little corner lash, and now I'm going to move on to lips, and then we're going to do finally blush. So for lips, I really wanted the Iconic Nude lip liner, but I actually can't locate it in my collection, unfortunately. So I'm going to go in with Pillow Talk number 2. So this is a slightly darker shade than the original Pillow Talk, and I'm just gonna very lightly kind of overline my lips with this. Recently I've been really enjoying going in with a little bit more of a lighter hand with my lip liner, so you almost can't see it, but it just gives the lips a little bit more of a kind of natural overlined plumper effect, which I really have been loving. Now for lipstick, I'm going to go in with the shade Penelope Pink, which is a really beautiful kind of paler pinky nude. I absolutely adore this lipstick. So I'm just going to put a little bit of that on, and then I'm just going to take my finger and kind of blend that into the lips. So as you can see, it just gives the lips a little bit more of a kind of softer finish, as opposed to like a full beat, like full coverage lipstick. I just prefer the way my lips look like this. So now I'm going to go in with blush. I'm going to go in with the Pillow Talk Cheek to Chic in the shade Intense, which is a little bit more intense than the original Pillow Talk, and I'm just going to go in with a very light hand with this. I am just going to kind of like swirl the two shades together. And then because this is the Intense shade, as I said, I am just going to go in with a little bit of it. I'm just going to kind of put that almost between my bronzer and my highlighter. Okay, last but least, we're just going to go in with a little bit of setting spray. I'm going to use the Airbrush Flawless setting spray again. So I'm just going to kind of spritz this all over the skin. This will just make the makeup last a super long time, and also give the skin a little bit more of a glow. Right guys, and that is pretty much it. So that is the finished full face of Charlotte Tilbury makeup look. I think this has definitely got to be my favourite out of all of the ones that I've done on my channel before. I'm absolutely obsessed with how this has turned out. It's kind of exactly what I pictured in my mind. You know when you have a look pictured in your mind and then it comes out exactly how you want it? This is what's happened here. So yeah, I really hope you guys enjoyed this look too. If you did, then please be sure to give the video a thumbs up. Also, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and press that little bell notification. And yeah, I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.